Hello everyone and welcome to PI 101. In this guide we'll cover the requirements for planetary operations in EVE Online and learn how to set up basic planets. Now first of all you will need several skills, and these three skills are absolutely vital. Now they are named Command Center Upgrade, Interplanetary Consolidation and Remote Sensing. I'll go over these one by one. Interplanetary Consolidation increases the number of planets you can install command centers on. You can increase this number to 6. You will always, disregarding the skill level you actually have trained up, have access to one planet at least. Now, Command Center Upgrades allows you to upgrade the command centers you actually place down on planets. An upgraded command center will give you more CPU and power output, which means you can build more structures on the planets. And finally, we have Remote Sensing. Now, Remote Sensing is a useful skill in that it allows you to actually see the resources on the planet. Now, this is absolutely vital because if you haven't trained remote sensing at all, you can't actually see the resources on the planet, so you'll basically be building blind. It's a good idea to train this up to at least level 1. You can train that more if you want to scan different distant systems, but it's actually just recommended to keep it at 1 unless you are really into planetary stuff. So that's it basically. Now there are also two optional skills. Planetology, which I might link in the description. Increase the precision of scanning planets for resources. Now, this actually helps you with the gradients, which we will get in later, but personally I don't think it's all that vital, and I tend to skip it really. And you've got advanced planetology, which basically does the same thing as planetology, but it actually gets you more accuracy on your scans. So yeah. The next thing you'll need is actually very easy. You'll need some command centers to place on planets. Now, as you'll notice, this is an oceanic command center, and you've got a temperate command center. A temperate command center is used for temperate planets, an oceanic command center for oceanic planets. You've also got lava, plasma, storm, gas, and a few others like barren and ice. So basically, each type of planet has got its own command center. Now, let's undock, because we want to actually colonize planet. So yeah, first thing you need to do is actually see the planets. Now, you can use a right click and go to planets and then select one to warp to, but you won't see what type of planet it is, so this is actually quite useless. Now, if you go to this, you can choose to add the planet to overview. If you select this, all of a sudden you'll see that you have planets and that the type is actually highlighted here. Now, we've got a few in system. We've got gas, storm, barren, temperate, and that's about it. So, seeing as I have a temperate command center with me, I might as well colonize one of these. So I select the planet, I go to planet mode, and assuming you have actually trained remote sensing a level, you can go to scan and select one of the various items or resources that you actually want to gather. Now, for purposes of this tutorial, we will actually go and get ourselves a water planet that does nothing but produce water. And the first thing you need to actually produce water is aqueous liquids. Now, since it's a temperate planet and it's basically covered with oceans all over the place, this is very easy to do. Oh, oops, accidentally exited there. Let's get back in. So yeah, you see lots and lots and lots of water, which makes it really easy to get aqueous liquids. Now, I'm going to go over these sliders a bit, because they increase the accuracy of your scans. So if you go from the right side and select and slide it downwards, you will actually get more accuracy towards resources that are less present. Now, the reverse is also true. Say if I want to slide this upwards, then you see that it will become very sensitive to resources, so very insensitive to resources, so only the hot pockets will actually light up, whereas on the other hand, it will become very sensitive very quickly. This reads like a heat map, so the warmer it gets, the more resources are actually there. So if we want to do aqueous liquids, this would probably be a good hotspot, because it's very wide. Now, you can also select different resources to scan, and you might have to increase or decrease the sensitivity depending on the resources that are available. Now, the more white is in the sliders here, the more resources there actually are. So this is a very good planet to get water on. Now we actually have defined our spot and know where we want to build. We can actually deploy our command center. Now it's recommended you do this somewhere in the area, and if you might want to switch over industry later on, you might also want to check for other hotspots of different resources. Now to make it easy on myself, I'm just going to plug this one down here. As soon as you selected the zone where you want it to land and are actually quite happy with it, just press submit, and the command center will be built on the planet. Now, this didn't use any ISK so far. Now, because I have trained command center upgrades to level 4, I can actually upgrade it 4 times, and it's highly recommended that you get your planetary, your command center upgrades to 4, because then you can get more power grid and more buildings to play with. So it's a very good idea. I would recommend at least getting it to 3, because it's kind of useless if you don't get it to 3 at least. And 4 is not that far off, so I would actually take the time to get it to 4. If you get it to 5, all the better, but yeah, you don't need to do that. So yeah, you see we automatically have 1 level, because you can't have any levels at all, because then nothing would be built. And we are gonna select the level, level 5 is actually quite a bit further. We can select level 4, but I'm gonna go for level 5. Now you will notice there is an ISK cost involved in this. So it's 4,210,000 ISK to actually upgrade this. Now you'll also see that the power output and the CPU output will be increased dramatically. So I'm actually going to do it. And my wallet just got charged. There you see, wallet, and it's gone. Actually, wallet not set up properly because I'm an idiot apparently. Oh yeah, there's no ISK charge yet because I didn't submit my changes. Now that I did, yeah, there we go. And the ISK is gone. Now, since we've got this command center plugged down and it's upgraded to a decent level, let's make it easy on ourselves and start building some stuff. So the first thing you'll need is a temperate extractor control units. Now, the reason all these buildings will be called temperate is because we are working with a temperate planet. If we would be working with a barren planet, they would all be called barren. I'm still not entirely clear why they actually insist on naming each individual one. Perhaps they originally designed this as independent items. But no matter the case, you can just plunk one of these down. And you can't survey for deposits yet because you haven't submitted your changes. Now, we're going to submit this. There we go. And now you see, we can actually select a resource. In this case, you want to create liquids. Then you will see it scans again. And then you can place a couple of extractor heads down. Now, you can place a couple of extractor heads down. These are basically the mining or resource extracting units that you use. Now, note that for each extractor I place, it will actually use more power and more CPU. So you want to be careful how many you put down. I think I'm going to go with 6. You also want to make sure they don't overlap, because if they overlap, you will actually be losing resources. So that's actually very not the point. And it seems to be lagging a bit. I think this is perhaps just not liking the Planetary interaction UI. Now, as soon as you actually decide upon the area you want to mine and place your extractor heads, oh fuck. And you'll also notice you can actually set an extraction area size. Now, the bigger you set this, the longer your program will run. And again, perhaps does not like the PI UI. I have no idea why that is. I'll zoom out a bit, maybe that helps. It helps a little bit. Now, I tend to go for 23-hour cycles, so it makes it easy for me to check in every day and set it properly. Now, anyway, once you've selected your program and are happy with it, you install it. And as soon as the program is installed, it will actually start running as soon as I submit these changes. But we need some place to store it, because this thing can't store anything. It doesn't have the capacity for it. So you have storage facilities and you have spaceports. Now, if you've got command centers upgraded to level 3, you would actually want to route these straight into the launch pad. Now, since this is a level 5 planet or level 4 planet, I'm actually going to build a storage facility, which I am going to use as a buffer in between my extractor and the facilities we are going to build, the processors. Then I also want a spaceport to launch this stuff into space and offload it somewhere else. I'm going to place that next. And I'm also going to place a link to make it easy for me. So there we go. That's linked. Links are very important because, as I'll demonstrate later on, you'll actually use those links to route stuff. And then I'm going to build a few basic facilities around this. Basic industry for the win. Yay. There we go. That's all plunked down. It's actually annoying that it doesn't list exactly how much ISK it costs. Oh, it stopped lagging out of that place. No idea what actually caused it. So yeah, link it all. There we go. And now, as I'll submit this, you'll notice that there's going to be 10 million in my wallet now. And only 8 million now, because all the buildings we built actually cost ISK. So there you go. This cost ISK, that cost ISK, these cost ISK. I think the launchpad is probably most expensive. I think that costs about 1 million and the rest is actually fairly cheap. And since we're actually extracting here, we want to be routing this stuff. And we want to route it into the storage facility. Now, another thing I failed to mention earlier. Let's submit these changes first. Yeah. Is that I can't change the program. Oh yeah, I have to wait a few seconds. So you can't change it around as much as you like. Now, you have output. The output is calculated either per hour, per cycle, and the total output that gives a long duration. Now, the shorter the duration, the more output you will get per cycle. The issue, of course, being that it won't give you as much total, because the longer you let it run, the more total units you'll get. So the most ideal thing you can do is run it for very short cycles, so you get a lot of resources and constantly get a new cycle, get a new program running, like programs for, say, 30 minutes or an hour. I think the minimum is 1 hour probably. Now, the problem is that you constantly have to refresh it manually, which can be quite annoying, and you can only do this if you're online. So hence my preference for 23-hour cycles. Now, I could stop the program here, but I think we might get enough resources in the first cycle. Yeah, we will definitely get enough resources in the first cycle to actually start processing these. So I'm actually gonna pause it here, and I'll be back as soon as this facility's got some resources in it. As you can see, cycle is already finished, and we have some goods stored right now. Now, the final thing well, not the final thing, we actually have to refine it first. So, what we have to do next is basically go to the industry facilities and select water, because that's the schematic we want to use. And as you can see, we need 3000 aqueous liquids input every cycle for it to work. Now we install this, then we will get a heads up that the water is not routed. You can also just go to the products section of it, and then create route and set it to go to the launchpad. Now you need to do this for every individual facility, but it's actually the only time you will have to do it unless you start producing something else. Because as soon as this is set up properly, it will just keep on taking everything it can find and routing it out the way you programmed it to. So yeah, just one more. Install. Oh, accidentally close that. Yeah, and there we go. Route created. And we submit those changes. Now, these aren't doing anything at the moment because they are not actually receiving input. So in order to do that, we just create routes with the water from our storage facility, well, the aqueous liquids, and then we route it all to the production facilities. And there we go. As you can see, it is actually producing. Now it takes half an hour for the cycles to complete, and as soon as that half hour is actually done, you will see that the resources will pop up in this particular building. Now, so again, I'm actually going to pause it here, and I'll see you as soon as it's built and ready to go. Okay, now cycles are nearly done. Just a few more seconds, and the produce will actually appear in the launchpad. Or on the launchpad. I'm not entirely sure if it's in or next to it. Anyway, yeah, there we go. First load of water coming in. Just wait for the other few to finish up. Yeah, and they're all finished. Excellent. Now, once you have your produce, you can actually launch it into space. So you select the water, you drag it onto the Planetary Customs office, and you select transfer. Now, there's also transfer cost involved. In this case, it's 4,000 ISK, so it's actually very cheap, but it's also only 30 square meters. No, it's not square, cubic meters. So yeah, transfer that up there, and we want to go pick it up now, so we can leave planet mode. And now we want to go pick up our produce. So we open the Science tab, go to Planets, and then we select the appropriate planet. In this case, it's this one. Then go to the Customs office and warp to within 0 meters.
Warp drive active.
And in order to not keep you guys waiting, I'm gonna skip the warp. Blink, here we are. So yeah, you just open, well, select the Customs office, then go to the cargo, access Customs office, and you drag the produce into your cargo hold. And there you go, you have the produce. And that's basically all there is to it. Now, every once in a while, depending on how long you set your cycles, you want to check in back on your planets. You can always access your planets via the Science and Industry tab under the Planets tab. And if you double click on any of them, it will actually open those planets up, which is very useful indeed. As you can see, yep, different planet, and apparently this one is not actually mining anything. So yeah, then you just come back, go to the survey, install the program, submit, rinse and repeat. And as soon as you set up your programs, you can just go away and it will actually keep on mining while you are gone. So up, install program, submit, blah blah, and that's it. Now, as you will notice on this particular planet, if I would want to build anything in surplus, we actually have quite a bit of resources still available, so we could potentially get another extractor and some more processing facilities. And there's various kinds of different setups you can do. As you can see on the other planets, I went for a dual setup where I had 2 extractors and then routed all of these into a storage facility, which I then used to actually process the materials. And as you can see, I used 2 for each kind of material, which I then routed to the launch pad. But yeah, this is not the only setup. There's various other kinds you can try, and none are actually the best. I mean, you can optimize, but as soon as someone found out an optimal situation, you can actually optimize it somewhere, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you like this, please like the video. If you want to see more, you can always subscribe, because I plan to be doing more tutorials on EVE Online in the near future. So yeah, that's it. See ya!